So do you guys like to travel? Imagine that you could spend weeks at a time away from your business, and while you're gone, your technicians are taking care of everything, your customers are being taken care of, and the money is still coming in the door. Imagine that your business affords you the ability to spend your holidays on a home on an island or in a home on an island. Well, whether you're in the back of the room here today and you're new to all of this stuff, or you're up here in the front and you've been inundated with all this marketing stuff for a few years now, every one of us here, we've got one thing in common. We're entrepreneurs, right? We all worked for someone else and got sick of what we were doing and went out on our own. And then, you remember the early days where you'd fix anything for anybody? Well, but then as soon as you did that, your customers would complain that you took too long or that you charged too much. And maybe like me, you spent thousands of dollars on yellow page ads and radio spots and TV commercials trying to get more customers. And if you were like me, some of those customers, if your customers were like mine, you had to have a process for sending your hot checks to the DA's office. Imagine how bad customer relationship is when you've got to have them arrested before they pay your bill, right? Well, all that break-fix work is stressful. You're putting out fires every day. Your employees are burning out. And then you've just got to hire more and train more, and they're going to burn out and they're going to leave too, right? And where does your revenue start every month? Back at zero again. You're starting over. It's not a great cash flow model. Have you ever laid awake at night wondering how you're going to pay the bills? And you feel like there's a truck just sitting on top of your chest? Have you ever walked into the bank and borrowed money against your house just to make payroll? I've done that, and it's not a good feeling. Well, eventually, we figured out that having contracts with commercial customers was really the way we needed to go. But after 9 years of pushing it, we weren't able to make that switch from break-fix to managed services. And the IT lifestyle was not good on my body. I mean, imagine crawling under desks, lugging servers around, and you weigh 375 pounds. That's where I peaked. It makes your knees hurt just thinking about it. The business was in bad shape, but so was I. Now, when we joined Producers Club in November of 2015, our gross revenue at the end of that year was $869,000. Our revenue per technician was 96, and our MRR was sitting at 27. And the net profit was at 15%, and then this huge number he gave you, 981 paying clients. That's people to invoice, people to collect from, people you got to answer the phone calls from. And me, by that point, I was weighing in at 342 pounds. Well, like many of you, I felt like my business wasn't growing the way I wanted it to. And I felt like something had to change, but I didn't know what, right? Well, I had this technology marketing toolkit, of course, sitting in the cabinet, gathering dust. And one day, the timing was right. I got a card in the mail inviting me to a road show in Dallas. And so I decided I'd head on up to Dallas and check out this Robin Robbins thing and see what it was about, the Producers Club, and try to saturate myself in this. So at the road show, I remember standing there with the application to join Producers Club in my hand and looking at the financial commitment, and I felt like I'm standing on the edge of a cliff. You ever jump into a river off a cliff or into a lake? And the first time you do it, you're standing on the edge, and you just can't make yourself go, even though other people around you are telling you how awesome this is if you'll just leap and do it. But you're frozen in fear. So I did what any sane human would do, and I called my wife. Right? So what did my wife say? She said exactly what you can predict she said. She said, "You want to spend how much on what?" But by the end of the conversation, she had come around to, look, honey, if you think this is a good thing to do, then let's do it. So that November 2015, I jumped off of 2 cliffs. I went ahead and I joined the Producers Club, and 2 weeks later, I had a gastric sleeve surgery to do something about the weight. Now, when you join Producers Club, you get an awesome accountability group, and you get a mentor, and you share your stories and each other's history, and learning what these other businesses are doing. You come here to Nashville, you meet with other people. You might be sitting out here at 10 o'clock at night talking to folks, and maybe 2 years ago, their business was in the same shape yours was, but they've grown it 2 or 3 times, and you get different perspectives, right? And you hit these guys up with your challenges, and they tell you, well, look, that happened to me 2 years ago, and here's what I did about it. We learned that our sales process was mediocre at best. So we looked at things on the dashboard, and we improved that process. We came here and we met great authors like Mike Michalowicz of the Pumpkin Plan, who helped us figure out who our best customers were and who our worst customers were. You know, those best ones, the guys that value you, they don't treat you like the garbage man, right? You enjoy working with them. And through that book and examining our customers and looking at our own skill set, we decided that engineering and construction firms were really where we wanted to focus. So we put together a shock and awe box that has testimonials from other engineering and construction companies. So when a guy opens that box and he looks at the testimonials, he's like, hey, I know Brian. I do business with this guy. And he can pick up the phone and call him. We redid our website to talk about the pain points of engineering and construction and, you know, the things that we do for them. None of this stuff is rocket science, right? They're all easy things to do that you can go home and do. What it is it's work. So we went and we bought a list on Infusions, or from Info USA of engineering construction firms. And we used LinkedIn and the prospect's own website to scrub the list. We figured out who the CFO is. How big is this company really? And then we used Infusionsoft we sent a campaign out, a Godfather campaign to these folks, and we used Infusionsoft to track the calls. And we used TurboDial to do the dialing for us and to drop voicemails. So we had, you can call a guy up and you get patched through and you get to their voicemail. When it hits beep, when you hear the beep, you click a button and it drops your voicemail out and you move on to the next call and you make hundreds of calls like this. We just kept on marketing, doing the things that you're learning how to do here. And we started getting more clients. And then we started quickly getting rid of clients that we needed to get rid of. And then the new clients we were getting started to get bigger because we got more confident as we got more. And I tell you, one of the most profitable things I've ever heard from the stage from Robin is don't be afraid to put big numbers on the paper. All that crap's in your head. It's not in theirs. And so that confidence started building. We started getting bigger and bigger customers. And in 2017, our profit more than doubled. And you know what it did in 2018? It more than doubled again, 2 years in a row. I'm not talking about you making $30,000 more, or $40,000 or $50,000 more. I'm talking about you and your family making hundreds of thousands of dollars more. And after 3 years in Producers Club, at the end of 2018, that $869,000 in revenue had grown to $1.4 million in its managed services, not break fix. Here's a number I know some of us look at, but a lot don't, is what's your revenue per technician? We were at $96,000. At the end of 2018, that had soared to $280,000. We'd gotten so much more efficient. The MRR of 27 had grown to 107. And the net profit, here's more efficiency. The net profit went from 15% to 31%. Thank you. That total paying client base of 981, well, last year it was just 91 customers. Imagine the drop in phone calls you got to deal with. And me, I dropped from 342 at the end of 2015 to 239 pounds. So you guys know what total contract value is, right? That's you sell a contract and maybe you're putting in some servers and stuff, you got a little project to go with it, and then you have that 36 months of revenue if you're signing a 3-year contract. Well, last year we signed over $2 million worth of contracts with just me doing all the sales and marketing. And what that allowed us to do, go ahead. I'll enjoy it in a second. So what that allowed us to do is to finally hire a marketing assistant to help me stuff those envelopes and clean those lists. And you know what happens when you hire a marketing assistant? You have to do more marketing because you've got to keep this person busy now. So it's a built-in accountability. And what if your business made more money and you could use the money to be good to your people when they need it most? Well, you guys are familiar with Hurricane Harvey that hit Houston. It rained and rained, and places that have never, ever flooded, in all the years of flooding we've had there, have flooded. I had employees lose houses. We lost a company car. An employee lost a company car. And we were able to rent a B&B for a guy. We were able to rent a car for a few weeks for a guy. We let them have time off of work without touching their vacation to take care of their families and take care of their things. I've got a guy right now who's having some serious medical issues. He's recovering, but he's out for 6 weeks. He only had 40 hours of vacation in the bank. We're not making him touch it. We're just going to pay him the whole time. And our employees, on average, are making 25% more today than they did 3 years ago when we joined Producers Club. And just imagine what it's like if your employees aren't burning out and they're staying with you and they're more loyal to you. Our average technician, because we treat them like family, has been with us for 4 years. Imagine if you could do more for your own family, though. What if you could buy your dream house, right? Ours has a wraparound porch. We bought it last year. And a 7-acre front yard. And of course, I had to get a little bit of maintenance equipment to help me with that yard. Well, this is all great. But what's it for? Why are you here? You're all familiar with, most of you familiar with Simon Sinek. You've probably read his book or seen his TED Talk. Simon says that we know as tech guys what we're doing, what we do for our customers. We know how we do it, but we don't necessarily know why we do it. What is your why? What is it that has you away from your business all this week to be here and away from your family? What is so important about growing your business? It's not just about the money, right? It's what does that money afford you? So I want to tell you about my why, and while I'm doing that, I want you to think about what your why is. Like most of you, my wife Laurie and I have children. We've got 4 children. And our son Charlie, in the orange shirt there, he's special needs, and he's always going to live with my wife and I or with one of the siblings. And this is a challenge for our family. You know, maybe some of you have this kind of thing going on in your family, or you see it with a friend. You worry about this child. How are they treated at school when you're not there? What is their life going to be like in 40 years when I'm dead and gone? These are everyday concerns for me, right? Part of my why. But what if you had to have a brain surgery and doctors poking around your head and they're cutting skull bone out and they're putting pressure relief valves in over and over as these stupid things fail? You don't know what that would be like on your body. But what if you had to have 10 brain surgeries or 15 or 20? And what if the patient isn't you? What if it's your little kid, right? The stress that's on you and on your marriage. I've seen many people going through this stuff getting divorced. What if it's not just one of your children, but it's all 4? It's Caroline, and it's Isabel, and it's Charlie, and it's Nicholas. You see, all 4 of my children have been diagnosed with some really nasty stuff called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and Chiari malformation. These things are incurable, but they're manageable. But that management has required 87 brain surgeries over the last 12 years. That's 87 times that you're sitting in a waiting room. It's 87 times mom or dad are sitting in a hospital chair next to the kid, making sure that the nurse is getting the medication to him on time. It's 87 times a kid comes back home and just wants to recover and get back to school and have a normal life again. I mentioned earlier my business affording me to travel. Well, that's because for the past 12 years, we've been traveling from Houston to Long Island to have these brain surgeries. Imagine, or think about where your family has spent the last 2 Christmases. My family has spent them at our home on an island. It's the Ronald McDonald House of Long Island, where kids go to recover from surgeries. And this is my why, right? This is my huge why. It's why I've got to succeed. It's why I don't have a choice but to make a bunch of money in this business, so I can leave money behind to take care of kids, to help them with medical issues. But what is your why? Why are you here? Well, when you leave here today, there's 3 things you can do when you go home. One is I would like to see you document your sales process and make it better. Look at the resources that are on the dashboard. And look up the VIP sales process by Jason Abel. And do better things in your sales process. Compare your sales process to a friend's and just improve it. Then identify your best customers, your best clients, and make a list of others like them. And these are the people that you enjoy working with. Maybe use a book like The Pumpkin Plan to help you come up with that list and build a list of more folks. Then run a campaign, maybe a Godfather campaign or a poker chip campaign against that list. And for Pete's sake, make the follow-up phone calls. Now, tomorrow, we're all going to see Peyton Manning up here on this stage. Well, Peyton Manning has something he says about winning. It's not wanting to win that makes you a winner. It is refusing to fail. Refusing to fail. You see, for me, failure cannot be an option, and it shouldn't be for you either. Thank you.